just garbage. We can't really understand anything from logs. So obviously that's not the right tool. So what we've seen, I've seen a number of companies where what they're doing, they're defining KPIs, which are at very different levels from coding to a, let's say, number of calls to a method, up to a business KPIs, page views, and billings stuff, and they measure those KPIs. What we've done at Wix is something a bit similar. We have, first of all, we have defined for us a concept of classification of exceptions. You know, there are two ways to find something goes wrong. Either you have an error and you need to look at that error, or something runs out of a resource and can't function, or is about to run out of a resource, and you want to measure that. The third thing that can go wrong is, set two, and I'm going to the third one. But the third one thing that can go wrong is that everything is fine from as far as you can tell, but a change in the product made the product work not as good as it did, business-wise. The first kind of problems, when you have an error, it's very easy to figure out you have an error in any language. But the significance of the error is not entirely. So we classify our errors or exceptions by business and system errors. And the rule is very simple. You should never have a system error. If you have a system error, it means that something that you rely on does not function. It means that your database is dead, a file that must be on your file system doesn't exist, you don't have access to your file system, a condition that should never happen did happen, and it means that you have something which is, you need to wake someone at night. If you have a business exception, it means that you decided that you don't want to do something for a certain request. You have some external stimulus requested something from you, and you decide that, well, don't really like to serve that guy, but you can't really handle that except unless you have an exception. Like, you can have a case where someone requests, let's say, a site that doesn't exist. You might get an exception because that's the way your database layer works. You might see that exception in the log, but who cares about it? You might have someone trying to access your system without the right credentials. Again, you'll probably see an exception. Most libraries will throw an exception in such a case, but you don't really care about it. So the first thing is actually to know what you care about, what you don't care about.
Mm-hmm.
Second thing is to have a self-test. So each of our servers we can request it, we can ask it, are you okay? And then it will run code that will go through different cases and it will check whether it can function. And if a server can't function, it will automatically be removed from our load balancer. The load balancer will recognize it as a box that is not functioning. And so, and of course, we get an alert and so on, go monitor and see what's happening. So that's one way to look at monitoring. Another way, of course, to use traditional tools like Nagios and BI, all kinds of BI infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
We have a business funnel that we're looking at monitoring, which is basically a certain process that users goes to our system that ends in the purchasing, and we monitor that in different ratios on the way. And if there's a change in those business KPIs, we would go look what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is more, people would consider that more a business monitoring, but this distinction is a bit wrong to my opinion, because I think a developer that builds something and does look at the impact on the overall business, that doesn't see the impact of what he's doing on the overall business, is not doing a good job. Can't really do a good job. You can't really get the feedback of, I've just added a new version, added a new release of something into our system, and it might have an impact on my customers. And if it does, if it shouldn't have, and it does, I should probably go and look what I've done. Or I actually might want to roll that back before I'll damage my business. That's another level, another point of view.
So you're saying that it's not just about what you're measuring, it's about also allowing everyone in the organization, whether it's a developer or a sales guy or I don't know, CEO, to have visibility to all of those, I guess, KPIs.
Yeah, sure. In Wix we have I think almost the end of the room we have a TV, a monitor with a computer that is on the wall, where each one can select which KPIs he sees, and those monitors are just for monitoring, for seeing KPIs. And we're using tools like New Relic, which is a very nice tool for system monitoring. We use our own app info stuff, which basically gives us for every request, every web method that we have counters for number of operations, number of errors, business and system errors, last 10 errors and stuff like that. We have Nagios dashboards, we have BI dashboards and reports. A lot of this information is, you can see that on all those monitors.
So how do you aggregate all of those metrics, or do you just show them one next to the other?
Well, do you really need to aggregate them?
Well, it's a lot of metrics, right? So how do you, let me rephrase, how do you make sure that people are looking at the right metrics?
Because we have a lot of people. Everyone should look at the metrics that is relevant to him.
Okay.
And if a team is responsible for a certain part of our product, that team would be interested in the metrics that are relevant to what they're doing and should see those metrics. So if we have, let's say, a team that develops a certain server or certain segment, they should see the relevant KPIs that help them be confident that their segment works. If I have another team that does, let's say, media buying, they would be interested in reports and measures about how well their campaigns are doing and how much money they invest versus how much money they gain from those campaigns. So you can't actually take and create one all godly dashboard for everyone.
Sure.
You should actually figure out for everyone what is the right measures they need to look at.
Okay. It's kind of I guess collective vigilance or something.
Yes, you basically aggregate at the monitoring side, at the monitor
but you're
itself.
relying on the fact that everyone are monitoring, and every person is monitoring something, maybe a bit of a different aspect or slice.
That's what we want to do. Of course, we have an operations team that get alerts from all kinds of different cases. New Relic is a great tool, and it can give you alerts when things go wrong, or at least things that go really wrong. It won't give you an alert if your, let's say, conversion drops 20%.
Sure.
But it will give you an alert if your service dies.
How do you educate your developers to actually write for production, to write for monitoring?
With a big stick. Basically. No, it's not doing that. It's there are two things here. One, we don't really want developers to don't do that. We want our people to take responsibility of what they're doing and do as much as they can. So it starts, of course, with recruiting to get the right people, and it continues by giving them the option to do it. My job title is Chief Architect. I'm currently working on a project on a public segment, and a developer leads that project, and I'm basically doing what he says. And he's taking the lead, he's the right guy for the job, and I'm writing code, and that's okay. Titles are one of the things that are problematic in software companies, because especially in Israel, we like titles, like ranks. Everyone needs to have rank, and everyone has to be a manager. But who gives them? What we want is to give people the option to do the best that they can do, and every person is different. Every person is good at doing different things, and if we want good people, that all of them could be architects, chief architects, and stuff like that in all kinds of companies. I myself am not really doing architecture. I am doing architecture, but not a lot of it. Most time, architect work about 2 hours a month. That's the amount of work that is in truly
Yeah.
architecture.
Yeah.
That amount of work is traditional architect. The traditional architect, most of his work is making sure that no one else is doing architecture, making sure that everyone else talks to him about everything that they're thinking of doing,
Yeah.
and make sure that everyone is using what he says they should be using. That's not really productive. What I'm investing my time is helping everyone else figure out what they want to do, how they want to do it best, and give them the help to do that, guide them to do that, and give them the confidence that they can do that and that they should do that. And even if someone comes to me with something silly that they can figure out himself, that might be an architectural problem, like should I use MongoDB or MySQL? Well, go check and tell me what you like. I shouldn't be the one to decide that.
So how does it work without titles? I mean, that's a very intriguing message here.
You give every developer, the freedom to do as much as he can.
But how does it work from a business perspective? Like, who defines what is needed?
Yeah, how does it? I guess it's more of a product management.
Exactly,
thing.
yeah.
How does? I mean,
It could lead to a chaos.
No, it does
potentially.
lead to chaos because you don't tell everyone develop whatever you want.
Yep.
We know what we want to develop. We want what the products we want to build, and we know how to do that. And when you have a new project, let us do that the other way around. When you get a project to develop, when you hear the project title and what involved, you probably by that time know who is the right person to take on that job or that task or that project. And you don't really care about his title at that point. You care about, oh, I know Gadi is the right guy for this. So give it to Gadi to do that job. I don't really care if he's developer, QA, team leader, architect, or whatever. He's just the right guy for the job. And might be the free guy that is right for the job. Even a title, even saying that this one is an expert and this one is a senior expert and this one is a senior special developer, means that the guy next to him, when he has to make a decision and this guy says no, do something else, he'll do something else. Even what's right for his project, for what he's doing, is what he was thinking about. Or he might not push on what he thinks he should be doing.
Mhm.
It's on the control that we need to put on that is to make sure that everything stays within the right track, you're going the right way. You need to manage the people and manage the project in such a way that you're building the right product. They're going to connect together. And the way to do that, well, obviously when we have titles and we have managers, we have architects, things does connect. You build stuff, you have an architect that says build it exactly this way, build this interface, this stuff, and when you finish the iteration, try to put it all together, it doesn't work. So obviously that having someone says do it this way doesn't work. Having people work together, tell them, and given the requirement that you write code today, it will be in production maybe later today, maybe tomorrow, maybe in a few days, but it's going to be in production now. Of course, it's going to connect because you can't develop any other way. You have to connect with everyone because otherwise your code won't work. You're checking it now, not later on when you're already at another task. Your integration, when you integrate with someone, you're doing it now. You go that guy and integrate with him. You do both sides of the work. So the concept is different also in that regard. You're developing now and deploying now. You're taking your job or your task end to end from the concept, the idea. You're going to sit with the product guy, see what he wants, and then see how to build it and deploy it. And you're taking responsibility up to deployment and post deployment. And more